Yeah. So last class we were discussing about so each events, what they can do, and where they exactly fit into. So when you want to use whatever triggers you want to use it, and how the record is getting impacted. So I said you that before triggers always impacts on the same object, and after triggers impacts on the some other objects. Yes, there's a comparison that we have. It's like we have a point click and we have triggers. So something is not possible with the point click. Of course, you just end up by doing the triggers only when you are not able to do the point click. So point clicks are like process filters and flows are getting advanced. So we should possibly check there whether it is able to do it or not. Only then we have to jump to our triggers in, because trigger is something that you would write a logic. So you would touch each and every phase, because you are taking control of them. If something goes wrong with insert or update, so you are the responsible for it. So make sure your the logic whatever you write is works according to the best practice. So be it you're inserting one record, thousand record, or all it should work. So yesterday the couple of errors we tried to figure out, and we tried to throw it out so that the errors if occurs, so you can't save a record. So purposely why did we do that is something that you write a proper code. So you are not no, you're not allowed to save a record. So once you're not allowed to save a record, so it is something that is stuck there. So basically, your logic should whichever you write, which can stop the saving a record also. That is the biggest thing, which can cause a bug. So it's all about we have to write the code in terms of thinking in all the perspective. So we should have known about the do's and don'ts, when to touch, what to touch, how to do it, all that you have to know. So, okay, that is eventually gonna come. No issues that. So we had a context variable discussing, so like say before we had and after we had. So under that, these all are the events after insert, after update, or before insert. So when do you use before and after exactly? With which type of values which is flowing in, and then how do you call them as before? So while doing that, we got a few context variable like trigger.new, trigger.old. So what that there's something like a list which holds the a list of records which are, like say you're trying to modify your record. So that record would be in trigger.new, and something that whichever you're trying to impact the same object, so they're absolutely onto the before side. So before insert we call it as, and the values just flowing in trigger.new. From a trigger.new only you can get inside, because that they hold the current values of the record. Be it it's a new record you are trying to insert or you're trying to update a record. So trigger.new can hold the value unless and until you are impacting the same object. So they are good with that. And trigger.old will have the previous context where, so what I try to say is when you want to delete a record, so old context where values would be there. So in the last class I explained about if you're trying to save a record, or if you're trying to edit a previous record which is already a record is present, and you're trying to change the name of the address. So you wanted to compare the previous values of that record and the same current values of the record. So both run into the same context and they just give the previous version and the current version of a record. So that it will be easy to you to compare them, whether the values actually change or not. Whether if you change a new record value, whether we can do an existing, let's say a restaurant is available or not. So you can get them. If none of the records are getting their respective restaurants nearby, so we have to give some default restaurants. So some address is given as a Kukatpally. So the nearby address I map to a branch called Kukatpally. Now you giving address which is like Bombali, where we don't have a such a no restaurant if you see. So then I have to redirect to some Hyderabad restaurant, um, which is generic for the Hyderabad. So around the city they can deliver for someone who is not having a specific restaurant. It depends on the customer where they come from. So it cannot be always the address nearest matching. For that way I'm saying. So you can compare the previous and old value, and then you can make the changes accordingly. So the same, this is a list version we can say, where the records comes in the list format. Here we go with the ID and map, ID and account or ID of the any object that we're dealing with. It's in a subject where it can be account, custom object, custom object, any object can be. Now triggered new map can be dealt with again with the before update, after insert, after update. Why we don't do with the before insert is Before insert is about to insert, they will not have an ID of the record. So that's the reason we don't have before insert into the triggered new map. New map is something they always expect ID and their respective records. So when they are good is you can do with the before update because they are having you can use them in before update because you have a record called somehow the record is already insert. You are trying to do an update activity there. So that's the reason before update is used. After insert, after update, everywhere you see all we have ID of that record. So eventually we'll have this. So trigger no old map again. You are comparing the previous context of the records. You can using this you can stop deleting. You can delete a record, or you can compare the previous record. All that you can do it. So this is syntax that we had yesterday. Trigger name on what object name, and the events could be they belong to before insert or after insert, whatever it is. But at least one event should be mentioned here. Without that events, you cannot save a record like this. At least before insert, it should mention here in order to at least save a record. I mean, save this trigger. One event should be by default should be there. Then in number of events you can add it. Logic goes here. So again, what we did yesterday is we have improvised the code to the best practice. So this is account trigger written. So let's say trigger name on object which insert before insert we dealt with. So if you are in before logic, so after logic we're dividing from there only. So in before you could be insert update delete whatever. In after again insert update delete. So we are classifying you like a traffic signal. If you are before, go to this side. Under before only you have maybe dealing with update or maybe delete. So that we're classifying you. And then what we're doing is we are calling an helper class. So we created a helper class because ideally trigger should not have all the logic present. They should be simply navigation purpose only. They should be. Of course, you can write a logic here. If you see a previous class, you'll be able to see. We put a logic here and we try to execute it. It would work. But sales as best practice is to have always and handlers to help you out the logic. So make sure your trigger looks pretty simple, neat, and then each every methods that is calling a class. Look at this trigger dot is before insert. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to pass the trigger dot new. Why? Because so they have the original context of the record. Why this guy is saying always the original if you see when you try to insert a new record, so they always come here. So they always come here first with the trigger dot new because you said insert. Whenever you do an insert operation, so they are the one to first one. When you say like new, whatever you insert a value here, so the whole bunch of value would be there in this trigger.new. That's it. So this is a list type. I'm sending the into the this particular method. So input parameters is list of account it is. Trigger.new is holding list of account. It can be one record or bulk record. How bulk record when you do a data load or import wizard, you're trying to insert a bunch of 10 records, or from the execute anonymous, you're inserting 10 records. Of course, they all insert. So they come to the before insert and get into logic of this. Trigger would know will hold whatever the uploaded record. So now this method is called. So generally go here. So since the method was static method, so that's written class name dot method name directly called, and then input parameters you passed. That way, so it is a new list of records, which is accounts. We are processing inside the account, and all we need to know is, hey, your the account which you are trying to insert here. Let's say the account which you're trying to insert here, let's say Bompali, and then address is also given as Bompali. Then it matches. So basically, what I'm trying to do is you write an account name and then you write an account address. This is a business customer thing, and you write a address called as Gachibowli or whatever the address at Kukatpalli, whatever you give. If any record is matching with our original restaurant with the same name, so they will automatically fetch our parent account. Parent account is not the one you're going to give it. it is automatically we're going to find by based on the address. So that solution is what we did is yesterday. Go fetch my nearest restaurant. So that is my wish to get my the respective account. So let's say this account which is coming in and their account billing address I'll send to them. So this method what it does is using the billing stream, it tries to figure out the right account and that account what is returning back. So here it will have an ID of that record, which account ID will have here. So that account ID were assigned to a parent account because the new record which is coming in has a billing state. I agree, but existing any of the guy which is already there holding, we making them as the parent guy because in the area of that particular area, only one guy can be what do you say? Only one restaurant can be. You cannot have multiple restaurants. If they are having also, so we are fixing them to one a particular area where this guy would be the your parent restaurant. Any business guys are getting in, okay, one at least one people should take care of them as a restaurant. So this still was the last class. Any questions here?
I'm good.
Okay, so look at this was use case. On insert of an account, based on the address, I want to locate the nearest restaurant. So this was use case. And the account could be a business account or a person account. Let's say individual users. Business customers can come in or a individual customer can come in. So whenever they insert, so we're gonna find the nearest to a branch or restaurant. So impact is on same object. So that is before trigger. So what we try to use is trigger.new is to use. Why we are using this is because they don't have any record. No IDs of the record is present. So now after record is inserted only you can do something else. Now let me check here on an update case. So some other we have a logic. Hmm. So there's a second use case which I'm trying to do is before update, where I wanted to say um, on update of an account address, recheck the nearest branch. So it would be nearest restaurant for us. Hmm? Of course, right? So I'm updating a record and you have modified your address. So we have to recheck again to the nearest restaurants anything is available or not. So for this again I would check before update. So, so this is a second use case which will be telling us. Okay, so let's try to find the same value. So here what we do is let this method it's a generic method which tells us the nearest branch. Correct, right? So this generic method we have written find the nearest restaurant. So leave about them. So we want to write another method. So that method would be called as it can do the same operation because obviously you're trying to do a same activity. So I could say is before update. So in this before update method, of course, you are getting the new values and you are trying to check with the billing street address, fetch the nearest restaurant, and you are trying to assign it here. So something if the ID they return it, it is fine. What if they return as null? What if the return as null? If there's such some ID which is not present, we need to assign a default value. So that I will tell you here. Um, so let's put this way. If so you just come here not equal to null and then do this activity. If you say that two times you're calling this method is not required, you think? So try to assign a values to this method. You know this method would return something, right? Mm, So what I'm trying to do here is, so if you don't find the nearest branch which is having the billing street address, and I wish that you should give a default address part of that Hyderabad branch. So in that case, at least you have to pull up their city. So if the city is which is matching with Hyderabad, okay, let's pick up the address which is as city. No problem. So in this case, I'm gonna send not the billing street, so we're gonna say billing city. So based on the billing city, so it should figure out. So let's also this type of code let it be. So we'll optimize this code letter. So what is something is wrong? So how what went wrong? So in a for loop, what you can do max? So if you want to optimize this code, we can do in advanced class. So just by seeing itself, we can't. I mean, at the very beginning only, not write the best code. So there would be some clashes in this code. Maybe the optimization of the code is may not be good. We'll come back and figure out what if you do we can optimize this code. So what's something that we can investigate when you get into advanced class? Of course, by looking at this only, I would see two, three places not a best practice code. So eventually you'll get to know. Look, it looks like all neat code, but where exactly the issues? So that we'll discuss and then we'll get to know why we should not do it. So let this be. This will run absolutely with no any issues. So here we go with billing city instead of city. So why I'm doing this is, so if your street is not available, so what to do? Just go with high level city and you assign those guys to this guy. Makes sense, right? So any questions here? Yeah, before update, simple thing what I'm trying to do is, so here also we can try to match up the new map, old map we can compare. So we'll do it in after insert or after update. So it's okay. So my issues here is, of course, the new record is flowing in. So what if your billing state is not null? What if it is null basically? Then I have to jump into else part. Have to jump into else part and then else part should tell me, okay, now you don't find you are not able to find with the billing state, please just jump into the parent record of finding the with the billing city. So that is my intention. How do I say that? Let me just get into restaurants. In the restaurants, my first wish is, um, so Hyderabad is a city as always we have. So let's get into Hyderabad Kukatpalli. See, they don't have any address with the billing city as Kukatpalli. Okay, Kukatpalli, Hyderabad they have. So city is like the blank here. Very important. No problem. So we're gonna find the values of the city which matches with the Hyderabad. So we're gonna bring them. So new account, a new restaurants, a new business customers are gonna insert. I just wanted to match with their address. Um, are you gonna give the Bompali and the city as Hyderabad? Mm, Sorry, restaurants. McDonald's Hyderabad is the city address we have, and only in this I will have a building address stated. I don't give anything here. I just only give Hyderabad. State or province, AP, Telangana, whatever. You all can give it. So just I'm just leaving Hyderabad as a city here. So when you don't have a building street, so just jump onto the city. I'm just saying you. So now I'm gonna give address as the street address as Bumpally. But thing is, I don't give address like Hyderabad something else. If Bumpally is not found in our existing customers, then automatically it'll go to Hyderabad and then do the stuff. Why it is going to find the Hyderabad is because we give him the address as Hyderabad. So now let's do one thing. I'm gonna create a new account. Look at this, what I can do. So this is my business customer. Uh, Automatically my parent has to find, that is my wish. And street I'm giving as Bumpally, which is not there. And then so which city you belong to is Hyderabad. You're saying okay, alright. That's all you know. So your address, you know which address you belong to is Bumpally, Hyderabad, state, provinces, zip code. All this is giving you proper information. But which city you say, street you say, Bumpally you say. Okay, then you save it. So the moment
Kompally.
you
Kompally or Kompally? I know Kompally in Hyderabad.
huh?
I know Kompally is there, not Bumpally, I think.
Is it?
Okay. Just kidding. Yeah,
I
no,
mean, I don't know. It just look.
Kompally.
Is it? I heard, but I don't know. Bumpally. It just there. You know, this is Bumpally. Yeah, they have Bumpally.
Kompally, not
In
Hyderabad.
Karnataka.
It's Karnataka.
Oh, Karnataka it is okay.
Kompally is there in Hyderabad.
Bumpally.
Yeah, Hyderabad. Areas of Hyderabad.
Oh, then I have to change my original my original city address also. Okay, now look at this. So what errors it has been fired here? Look at this. You're trying to fire a query in a before insert. The query saying that was list as no assignment or stress subject.
So it returned empty, I think. No, no
Yeah,
rows.
yeah. So whichever you find here, if that is null, what we can do with? Hmm. So best thing is to have instead of this a singleton record, you need to have a list of account. So that will never have any issues to you. You know, it's a list of record, so you can get as account of zero. This is also fine. Why? Because this they know that they're returning zero record. It's okay. The zero record could be IDs as empty. It's a single record only. It will try to break. Already I said you if this record is returning null or zero record, it will break the system. So now you make them as a list, and then at least one record which is there, you try to pass it.
So what happens if there's no record? It will.
We will try. Try to look at this thing. So currently, I'll try to give it as Bumpally for some because already my original Hyderabad record. Anyway, this no matters no. Bumpally. Okay. If this is not there, with this help of the city, you have to figure out. Um, let's see. Save. Hmm. List is index out of Bonex. What this again indicates? Record itself is zero. You're trying to find the zeroth of ID. So even that is an issue, right?
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. So what you can do is, in this case, if this list, whatever it is which is flowing in, the list whatever it's flowing in dot is empty. We're checking it. Or we check the size of this is 0 not. Getting? So this account list, whatever it is getting, so when it is not empty, so let's put this way. When it's not empty, so you're returning this account record. If it is empty, so you're saying that return null. Of course, it should return null. So the purpose of this null, we're saying that the moment you call a method, okay, that's I'm saying not equal to null. If you are null, so then you just come back to the city and then figure out the header one. Getting? So this applies for this also. Of course, we know if this list is not empty, which is coming in, so maybe you found a record. We know if this record is empty and we say return null. Then based on the return null, so we say that okay, this guy is returning null, so we never get into here. Not equal to null means you are getting inside to find the state. If they are null for sure, okay, then we don't have an option. Just jump in to the city, find the city, and then assign that to a parent record. Now we'll try to save it. Why didn't figure out the header bar? And why didn't update our record? What could be the reason? Go back to account. Any restaurants that was specifically header by the restaurant which I did. So their billing, it matches the billing address and it matches the billing city. So why didn't figure it out? So it says not equal to null. Getting else you go to here, find the restaurant by city, of course. So the billing city name you have given. Uh, the account record is not empty. So then we return the account ID. So that account ID should be assigned to parent ID. So what went wrong here? See the new record which is flowing in. We are giving billing city as Kompally. The Kompally is not found here. So then that parent ID was null, of course. So then it didn't go to the next. Oh, crazy. This didn't go to the next line. How come? The address which is getting is whatever is not equal to null, I said. Then come to else portion. Didn't come to else portion at all. Till this, there was account record as 24 line is 0. 24 line. Billing state 0. Account record is null. So this dot parent ID is null. let me do one thing. So sorry for this. So what we're trying to do here is it's onto the before update. It's onto the before update. So you should go to the any account which is newly inserted and you have to modify those record. It's not about the insert. So whatever I was doing is on insert. I just went on the new record. I was modifying the new record. It's not absolutely that. We are trying to modify the existing record. Correct, right? I'm not writing onto the before insert. If I'm writing onto the before insert, so this logic should also be written here. I'm writing this logic on the before update. So whenever you try to modify the address, so there could be change of the street. So if the street is not available, find the nearest city. So that was the logic. So when I come here, look at this trigger dot before is blank and before update is blank. If it's not called here, it'll never work anywhere. No. So very important thing is you need to call the events. Very important. Yesterday I said you need to have these events specified here or else it is useless. Though you have all the codes written here, it's still useless. So make sure you call them properly here. The moment you write a logic here, it doesn't mean that it will work. You need to call them here. Before update, you come to the update section. And what is the method we have? Before update method we have. What it takes? New records of account it takes. So that could be triggered at anyway, it's fine. So it is a before update. Now it should work. So why it was blank early is because it went on to the insert statement where it could see only one logic. So that is something this logic. Of course, that logic written null. So they didn't insert any record there. So they are blank. Because that was absolutely an insert, I was doing it. So now I should do it on a before update. Let's go to the same record, the previously inserted record. So India Mart. So I know that this is India Mart, which doesn't have a parent record, I know. But my address says Kompuli Hyderabad. So I need to edit them. And where the parent ID is not equal to null, that should be there. Parent ID, this guy is null. So I shouldn't. What if this record is coming in because they also have Hyderabad no as a city. So this record we should not pull it. So what I would say, billing street, billing city. Yeah, I would put it here and let's get so billing city not equal. It's not parent record is not equal. Is getting so the restaurant which I'm trying to find for sure if it is Hyderabad account for sure they will have an account called as India because they are reporting to India. Every restaurant is reporting to one of the other guys to the topper level. They are actually restaurants. Now, if I figure out an Hyderabad here as a city, look at this guy, he's blank having a blank value. That account. So what I want to do is here India Mart new. So this is something I'm just modifying using. Or let's say India map is sorry India Mart let it be. Rating I'm just giving a sort or phone number I'm just giving some update. So basically I need to get my parent to whom I should report to which nearest branch I should report to. So what it says a parent account ID cannot be a child of an account. It's already a parent of. Hmm. How come? Hmm. So we don't have billing street. I think Our query is returning the same India Mart account, I think. So that is the saying a parent account cannot be the child of the account. It's already a parent of. Hmm. So what are we trying to do here? So we are into the update activity. So not equal to null of the street. So we just find the parent account. Else we are finding by the city name. City name. I don't want the parent record ID to be null, and only we have to. Okay. So what I was saying here is, so let me print an account ID here. What of it is? It was giving issues here, right? So which record it's going and what it is trying to print. So let's see them. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is let me try to edit this record, India Mart, and save it. So somehow it will throw an error. We good to know that. Okay. So come to debug logs. It has generated log here. Quickly check them. Line number 26, it's fetching out street address. So it is trying to print the street. Why it is trying to print the street? At the very beginning, so you just went and figured out this is not equal to null you're checking. So this give me some ID. That means they're not null. So some billing street which has a value called as bumpoli, they found some ID. So that's the reason it is throwing an error. So compoli somewhere a street is being found. So now I got it. So why it is saying it is. So when you're finding a billing street, so even their parent account should not be null. So mostly what we're doing is we have just put a log here saying that who is coming in which city. Are you finding some city account ID associated or street associate account ID? So in this case, what I got it is I got street account ID. Why? Because the billing street which you are giving it, I were able to figure out the same India mart we're flowing in. Because you tried to update a record, so we first find in the street. Yes, this company itself is found in the street, and sadly, so this account only which has a bump company. So you're trying to figure out a account, right? So it will obviously get the same account there. So what did I say is when the parent rate is not equal to, then you figure out and get this me. So now let's try to save this record. Some parent account it figured out. So why you have to figure out and get this is if you see SF Training Institute. In the SF Training Institute, so they have address called as Amirpet Hyderabad, and the account is not equal to null. So we should be having a checkbox or record type saying that are you record type of restaurant. So only then it'll try to fetch the right restaurant name. Okay, our motive is something is achieved where I wanted to say that, hey, if you are having a street, if not there, go by the billing city and find my restaurant, exact restaurant, get me. So likewise here, with the help of billing street, if you're not able to figure out, so then go by city and get the actual account ID. So that way, so our account record has been brought, but it should be McDonald's Hyderabad. It should not be Training Institute. So why it is not McDonald's Hyderabad? If you see, we're just simply finding the name by, hey, you are a street which is Hyderabad. Okay, we'll make you as a record update. Along with this, you need to have some unique update saying that yes, I'm a restaurant. Yes, I'm a business account. Something if you have that checkbox or record type, we can verify. Okay, you belong to a record type of restaurants. Only then I allow you. Not for the training institute or something else like a business account. I won't allow you. That also you can do it. So for that, what you have to do is you should match with record type, billing street. So anywhere we just check with and developer dot record type name is equals to, so we say restaurant. So we have a get record type ID apex dynamic. If you do this get record type developer name, they give it by name. So with single approach you can get this. With the querying you get it. Without querying also you can get it. So that is the intention of this. Mm. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just finding the record type of ID of this record. So why we want to find the record type is because in account we have couple of record types. Restaurants we have, business customers we have. It'll be you can't deal with a number of peoples because here it is all about finding a restaurant. So now whatever the record it's got updated is it's a business customer. So that's a wrong idea. So I don't want to write a query here. So this is the dynamic apex what we deal is schema to subject of type account, get record type info by name of this restaurant and get me the record ID that we're seeing it. So now this is a record ID which we have. So instead of writing this now, so we are gonna write it as record type ID is equal to colon. Okay, I think the same name it is. Hmm. Okay, it is the rect type of record. Why? Because it will confuse the original field name, right? So I'm just giving this. So this is like how you trying to query name, account, sorry, parent ID, record type ID. These are all the fields in that particular account object thing. All I want to know is get me only the restaurant account and then map it. Do not map business account or individual account to a nearest branch. So this should be very important for us. Correct, right? So we are trying to map a record. Ideally, they should be a restaurant. They should not be different from others. So that's the reason I'm just giving this. And the record type is this. So whatever you're progressing or whatever you're dealing is all with record type. Now let me try to save an update. So that eventually has to bring me only. See, India Mart SF Training Institute. This SF Training Institute is actually a business customer. So why this guy has to assign to this? I have to assign a proper restaurant here. Let me edit and then give something as same. Do you see this now? India Mart is holding a McDonald's Hyderabad as a proper restaurant. If I'm unable to figure out the Kompally as a street, so then go via through Hyderabad as a city, go get them and assign my, at least if Kompally is not present as a simple street restaurant, then assign to my Hyderabad, it's okay. So they would be the main branch, people are assigned sitting to that. And we're very sure that my parent would be a restaurant. So they can't be any other accounts type. So for that, we strictly what it is, we just go figured out the record type. Of course, we want restaurant type only, we said. So then we filtered by their respective records and then we got them here. Because any questions here?
No, but one thing is on my Salesforce, this one, I don't have this data like all this. Do we need to create or we can get it from anywhere?
No, no, we have to create them.
Okay, that's huge task. Okay,
No, what do you, I mean,
like accounts, contacts, default some data so that I can play around.
so what we did is actually, if I just go to an account and then let's say all accounts, or specifically wanted to go with the restaurants. Let me just go to the restaurants. So we know Hyderabad, India. Okay, India. So there's like this hierarchy here. You click on them, so you'll get to know under that account how many people are there. You see this hierarchy. But of
Yeah,
course, yes, this way you have to create it so that the restaurants frame for us. Maybe in your case, you are trying to create an account. What you have to make is each an account you have to give a parent account. For example, in Telangana, I would have given a parent account as India. In Hyderabad, I would have given Telangana because this is India as a country, state, and then city, and then under that they are what are their individual customers.
got it.
For Hyderabad, India is a customer. India Mart is a customer. Okay, and again, McDonald's also reporting to the Hyderabad, but again, they also have some business customers. Look at this. So what we're trying to do is here. So we have created an account and then hierarchical structures of a frame because this is all about talking about restaurants. So that's the reason we created there. For you, if you wanted to replicate something, so I don't know which project you dealt with. So what are the sample projects that you worked on? Based on that, some scenarios we have to create out of it.
No, that's why I didn't join that admin, right?
No, no problem. So I'm saying you would have done some ABC project in your no, admin set, right?
Oh, that's 1 year back. I don't know.
Okay, okay, no problem. So all you have to do is go to no normal accounts, create
Okay,
some. So we have to give some sample data. Or
got it.
if you think that okay, contacts, I mean account is like too crazy, contacts, some other object you can choose. So how do you test it is all um, on a create of the record. So this scenario is about finding my restaurants. So what
Mm,
I'm saying is I'm just giving use case of restaurants. Hey, new restaurants I have to find, or I have to something I have to. If the restaurant is not there, what should I do? So I'm just bringing some project-oriented concepts here. So because it's all about talking about McDonald's. So if you have some project to do, or you can think about that particular project, and then you have to think through the use cases like that. So these use cases are talking about restaurants only. No problem. So if you wanted to create a restaurant again, it is simple enough. So just create accounts and customers. That's more than enough. So you need not to have staffs for them. All that is fine. An account which has three different types of account: restaurants, business accounts, and then individual accounts. So that's it. Now, people who are inserting the new record, whether they are a individual customer or business customer or restaurants, that is all you have to make out. So while doing that, you have three record types here. Correct? Account has three different record types. You know very well. So you are trying to insert a new restaurant, so we are just getting ahead and then doing all the stuff. So you are trying to insert a business customer. Now I did it right for India Mart. I insert a business customer, like for example Google here. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to do is, so I don't know whether my nearest location there is a branch or not. I give a random address there. So it should find my parent ID. What is that? My restaurant. Though I'm a business customer, I need a restaurant which is nearest to be located to me. So that is this code is helping out me to do that activity or this. If not found, go to the city. If it found by street, okay, assign that particular address to that particular business customer. I think that's all. We don't have much. We all playing with the accounts here. So who is your are you a restaurant? Okay, are you a business customer? Which is your nearest restaurant? So that's how we're dealing with here. Maybe this is a simple scenario for you. You can quickly take it up and then create an account and three record types and then start inserting values like this. Okay, Hyderabad, Telangana, all this you can create records under them. You not have a couple of records. You can have two records, which is enough. Fair enough to deal with this. So okay, any questions you have, you can ask. What's it to me? After this,
Sure, sure.
no? Okay. So now we deal with before update. So we can also try to delete a record. Before delete also what you can do is we can say that when you try to about to delete a record, for some condition I can stop you. So before triggers is all something about you are trying to stop or trying to do some validations where you don't allow the record to delete. So for example, before update, let me write a method for before delete. Public static before delete you're doing it here. Account new records we don't take, we check with the old records. So we'll just see how it would work. And you need to put a condition here like why you don't want to delete them. So these old records are coming inside the logic and you may give a if condition. So old records if account dot parent id or some random things you have. Before you trying to delete that record, you have some condition that you will not delete that record. If account is what's that? So let's say India Mart you're trying to delete. This India Mart guys are having hot rating. So customer with hot rating you never delete them. So I'm just giving an example. If hot rating is double equal to hot, so then you're doing an add error here. Add error is a method in Salesforce to throw an error we have in VFP. Sorry, what is that in triggers we have? Set that to account that particular record which is flowing in that particular account record dot and then rating rating dot add error. So what it indicates is it'll display the error exactly where you're trying to delete the record and onto the top of rating one it will show. So let's see this. You cannot delete the record if they are if they're see this. You cannot you cannot sorry for this. You cannot delete the record if their ratings are hot. So what did I do? New records which is flowed in and then I'm just checking the rate is double equal to hot. So I'm just throwing an error. You cannot delete the record. So before this, make sure you have called in your original trigger. Let's say before delete. Very important. Without it here, you please not go there. So make sure your trigger events added here and the logic you're calling here. Is update is delete. What do you mean by this is under before section you are into delete category, and in the delete category you are trying to send the old records trigger.old. Already I said you trigger.old. So generally we use for delete or update. We're going to compare for that we use it. But ideally for delete we just check them before delete. Why? Because they have the old context records. So event is specified, method is specified, and the old records flowing in. In the old records, you're not allowing them. If the rating is equal to hard, so then we throw the error when we stop them. If this is not equal to hard, they will delete the record. That is all the condition is. See account rating. You cannot delete the record if their rating is hard, if the ratings are hard. Do you see this? That's what it is, right? If the rating is hard, so you're not it's not allowing actually to delete the record. Is any questions?
Yeah.
So this is how you prevent them. This is basically you're trying to do a validation type of a premature stop where you don't allow them to delete further. So by this way, we are trying to do a before update, insert, delete, all that we have checked, and then we written a few help, sub methods which is helping out to do deal with this dinner methods which we were distilling. Of course, we'll get into more optimized code of this. So why in a for loop you're trying to call this method, and this method is eventually having a query here. So it is more or less inside a for loop you're having a query. So that is not a best practice code, I know. So then how do we solve them? So when you just move on to a little more advanced class, then I think we have to come back here and we have to rechange this logic here. You guys getting?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think tomorrow we can start with before, so after insert, after update delete, and then we can jump on to the advanced class. Because too many things we put on one day, it will be crazy. So if you have any questions, you have to go back and then see the video and then to come back onto it. You guys okay?
Yeah.
So please, Tushra, if you have time, please watch the previous video. So that is the time I'm
Yeah,
just giving a little more earlier today. So all that you have to go watch the video. Trigger is one of the very, very important concept. So it is something like we are training you like a surgeon. So surgeon training, you have to go properly. So there's no any options we have. So if you
sure.
all watch these three of trigger videos, then it will have more confident to answer to anyone who is asking. Okay, this is how it works. So if people throws a scenario to you, whether it is they ask you before insert or after insert, or it is falls under before trigger or after trigger, you'll be very clear about asking answering the such answers. So yeah. So just one previous class if you see, I think you'll get more idea about it. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you all guys. So soon I'll upload this session to our videos. Upload them to the videos. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you all. See you all. Bye.